Hey, today we're going live with Jerome Shaw, and this is my first live ever. We're going to be talking about dry fasting and anywhere from liquid fasting, detoxing, anything else I suppose Jerome has questions about and wants to talk about. We can do that. Here we go. We're going live with Jerome Shaw. Hello? Let me see. Maybe I'm having. Wow.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
oh, I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing well. How are you, Donica?
Oh, great. This is my first live ever, and you get to be a part of that.
I'm honored. I'm honored. Such an honor to be with you in your energy field.
Thank you. Same.
hmm
I love that flute music you just shared with everybody.
Awesome, awesome. I had to share it with you. The breath is life, and we're giving each other life today.
Yes, thank you. I agree. I had just seen a few days ago, they were saying actually that in Hebrew, you know, I think it's the name for maybe Yahweh or YHWH or something like that is actually the sound of the breath. So I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No, I never heard that. So say that one more time, Donica, and it's Donica.
Yeah, yeah, Donica,
Okay.
and you're Jerome, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So you said
awesome.
you said Yahweh is it has links to the breath. Say that again.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, the name for God,
Mhm.
we have different names for God in different cultures and religions, but essentially it's the sound, sorry, it's the sound of the breath. So when we breathe in would be like the YH, and when we exhale would be the, I think, WH. So it's Yahweh. We're breathing in God. We're breathing in life. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. We're
Yeah.
breathing in Yahweh. You're breathing in the
Yes.
Spirit, the Holy
We're breathing
Spirit.
in the spirit. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Um, did you have any questions for me? I don't know if you had any.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
did you come up religious? Like, did you come up using that terminology?
No, actually. So, I grew up Catholic.
Mm,
If anything, I grew up in Mexico until I was in fifth grade
mm,
in a place called La Paz, Baja California.
mm,
And I think my parents wanted to put me in a school where they felt that maybe I was going to have better morals or something,
mm,
because of religion. And also Mexico is very Catholic,
mm,
and so I grew up Catholic, but I didn't feel comfortable going to Catholic school. I didn't really like feel aligned with it.
mm,
It felt like too structured, too disciplined. There's just too much fear involved in all of it.
mm,
And I guess as children, you really are so connected to your spirit, and more than anything, you want to just run around and be free and experience this freedom. And actually, I believe our souls always want to experience this freedom. And so I would say definitely Catholic school was not conducive to
mm,
that, you know.
mm,
And so I asked to go to public school. And so then my mom took me out, put me in public school. And I guess if we're getting to how I'm connected to spirituality and this newfound interest in like breatharianism and fasting and everything
mm,
is, I suppose I went through some things in my life that were very challenging,
mm, mm,
and I suppose I also went through that dark night of the soul period, and you're searching and you're waking up and you're learning all of these things.
mm,
And I started trying to practice them and implement what I was learning.
mm.
And I was seeing that there was truth to this, and sorry, I was seeing that there was truth to this, and it was feeling really good to my soul. It was feeling really good to my heart.
Mhm,
And I suppose we are our own gurus. we can go to other teachers, but ultimately what we take in is up to each person, you know, what we take from everyone.
Right.
So yeah, my journey has led me to here, to
Mhm.
learning about the breath,
Mhm.
and through practicing breatharianism, or I'm not a breatharian, guys, but I'm very interested in it, and I am learning things that are on that path, you know? Yes.
Wow. So this
Um,
this was really a soul calling for you.
I suppose so, yes,
Mhm.
because the first time I heard of like anedia or breatharianism or anything like that
Mhm.
was the biography of a yogi by
Mhm.
Paramahansa Yogananda, you
Mhm.
know, and he speaks of a woman, I think in Germany or something like that, where she did this, you know. And at some point in his life, he goes and he tries to go visit her and to meet her in person
Mhm.
because he's also really fascinated by this person, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and I think there was maybe one more person in like India. And when I first started hearing these things, it blew my mind. You
Mhm.
know, like as humans, we're conditioned to think we have to subsist on food alone or water, or we have certain needs. We're supposed to have protein, we need to have, you know, certain vitamins, on all of these things.
Mhm.
And we worry if we don't have them. We want to go to the doctor. The doctor needs to let us know if
Mhm.
we're doing good or not. And so we're just so focused outwardly on these needs that we're supposed to have that we forget that we are spirit
Mhm.
and that there we can sustain ourselves, believe it or not, you know, on our own, on our prana, you know, on this energy. And um there's so many people that are skeptics because it's not as widely known yet, you know.
Mhm.
And I think it takes people like us to start talking about it more, to make it a little more normalized, to make it not a thing of fear, and maybe to look at it with more open eyes and an open mind
Yeah.
and see these are possibilities
Yeah.
for us, for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree with you, Donica. And that's why I love that you were able to share yourself with us today, to allow your voice to be heard, to allow, your presence to be felt, and allow your thoughts and ideas to permeate and penetrate through this platform, because, this is a platform that we need voices like this. Like you said, just more people speaking up and speaking out about things that people don't even know are choices that we can make, even though that it's an option or a viable way of living, a lifestyle, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on here and agreeing to this. And when you were talking, Donica, about growing up Catholic, growing up, you said in Mexico, and the beliefs that you had back then, and you said you went through the dark night of the soul. What were some of those challenges or events that you had to face to have that sort of paradigm shift?
Well, so I grew up in a household that wasn't um I guess it was like a broken household, sort of. You know, I don't want to go too much into detail now because I feel that I've repaired a lot of the relationships that I've had in my life. I've already forgiven so many things. I've moved on and I've healed. Um, but, and also, I don't want to bring stuff up to like blame anybody or anything like that either.
Mhm.
So, I did grow up in a difficult childhood, and I carried a lot of those traumas with me, you know, because when you're little and you're experiencing certain things, you don't understand exactly what's going on.
Mhm.
But what gets imprinted on you are all of those like heavy feelings, you know, all the pain, and you carry that with you for a long time. And you don't know what to do with that, you know, unless you grow up with someone who knows how to clear that for you,
Mhm.
or you know. And I didn't happen to have that. I had like a single mom who was raising three kids, and she had a lot that she needed to like focus on and worry about herself. And I had taken on all of this like stuff from my childhood, you know, and she didn't even know how to process everything that had gone on with her. You know what I mean? So then she and I had like a really broken relationship for a very long time. We had all these wounds, you know, and so that's taken a long time to heal.
Yeah.
But I believe that we're good now, and we've both like come to a really good spiritual place of understanding.
Mhm.
And I guess the years mature you too, and you gain wisdom and you see things from a better perspective.
Yeah.
At least for, yeah. So, um, I would say I went through a lot of stuff, and because of the trauma I had, I guess I kept repeating like negative cycles. You know,
Mm.
I wasn't understanding what I kept recreating in my own life, what I kept attracting,
What were
because
those cycles? Yeah.
just like getting into bad relationships,
Okay.
you know, that I didn't like. I was looking for maybe like a father attention need. I didn't grow up with my dad, so then maybe I would get into these relationships with these guys, and because there are parts of myself that were unhealed, I suppose I always felt like I wanted to help heal the other person, you
Okay.
know. So even if they had a lot of baggage or if they had a lot of things that they had to work through, I empathized with them because I still had so much of my own stuff that I needed to work through,
Mhm.
that I'd be attracted to those relationships. But they were not healthy relationships, you
Okay.
know, like we had so much stuff. Yeah. So I guess enough of that, right? You get into enough of that, at some point you break. And so
Yeah.
I had my breaking point, and I started questioning. That's why I started questioning like everything. Why is this happening to me? How did I get here?
Hmm.
Life isn't fair, all this other stuff, you
Hmm.
know. And then really, I think I just like let go and I surrendered, and I said, you know what? Whatever happens, happens, but I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to carry this with me anymore.
Hmm.
And so I started looking into, oh, actually, uh, I was looking into how I can heal myself, how I can get rid of like all of this sadness and this pain that I have inside of me.
Hmm.
And I
And how
found
long ago was that breaking point? Like when was that?
that probably around like 7 years ago.
Okay.
So not that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 37 right now.
Hmm.
So around 7 years ago, 7, 8 years ago was that breaking point for me.
Hmm.
And I started searching, and I started like searching into everything. I wasn't just limited to, oh, the answer is in Catholicism, the answer is in talking to this specific person who's going to prescribe me these drugs, you
Hmm.
know. That wasn't going to work for me, you know. So I actually started looking everywhere, and I was very open-minded about it. And so I found a documentary on YouTube on like ayahuasca or something
Mm.
like that.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I started looking at that, and that really called to me because it felt more connected, I guess, to the earth in a way, because
Hmm.
it was like it came from the earth. And I like the idea of like the shamans and the tribes people being really connected to the plants, and there was more connection there for me somehow.
Hmm.
And so I did ayahuasca, and that was the first time ever
Wow. Was it a
that.
whole, you did it with a whole ceremony and everything?
So no, so
Okay. How did you
actually
do it?
no. Okay, so it was a little bit sketchy in a way, but I was trusting my intuition, and I was trusted that I was being guided, you
Mhm.
know. And I found him online. It was like on Facebook, and it was in TJ because TJ is right next to where I live. I live. No one come stalk me. No, I'm just kidding. I live very close to the border, and there was a person, and they're like, "Okay, you have to come, and once you get here, we'll tell you the location."
Mhm.
It was like secret, you
Yeah.
know.
In Tijuana?
Um, yeah, yeah. They.
Okay.
I know, but you find, I guess, your healing wherever it calls you to go, you know.
Yeah.
So, so I'm married. So my husband at the time, he came with me. He was very skeptical. He was very afraid,
Hmm.
and but I convinced it. I convinced him to come with me,
Hmm.
and he sat through with me. and there were like maybe 20 people there, and there was like a room. They rented out this whole conference room
Okay.
for us to be there together. And there were people who were there for all reasons, you know, going through so much different stuff that they were carrying with them, and they were trying to heal too from it.
Yeah.
And so we were all connected from the beginning, just knowing that we all had something we were really trying to let go of, because we wanted to carry on better in this life, you know. And so the shaman was super cool, and he talked to every one of us and was trying to find out like what it was that we needed to, you know, work through. um so with my ayahuasca experience, when I finally took my ayahuasca and I let it set in and everything, they really want you to have your own experience. You know, they tell you kind of close your eyes and listen to your own mind, you know, observe your mind, observe what comes up. And I kept trying to do that, but I kept feeling like every person that was maybe kind of going through something, I felt so connected to their story, because a lot of them would be talking aloud or crying, and I would feel like they were talking to me, sort of, you know. And I would sit up and I would start listening to them, and the shaman would be like, no, close your eyes, have your own experience. And I told him, I can't ignore these people. You know, I can't ignore them. I have to listen. I feel really connected to them and what they're going through and what they're saying. And so then he told me, okay, you know, go ahead. And I felt like I was a part of every person in a way that was in there. Yes, and that was the first time that I had ever experienced that connection and that blending of yourself with other, I guess, because a lot of the time they say it's true that a lot of maybe our mental illness and stuff like that comes from a feeling of separation, comes from a belief that we are separated, you know, and it comes from a belief that we're separated from spirit, or, you know. And that was the first time I realized that it was true, that we are really not separated, that we're all connected. And it was the coolest thing. And for those who've never experienced that, I feel like they will not understand what I'm saying right now. You know, they will not understand unless they've felt that. And what am I trying to say?
Wow.
So it was just so beautiful, and I could feel that I am that person as much as they're a part of me too.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, Donica.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
I'm
for
sorry
sharing.
that I just keep going on and on.
Oh, no. It's wonderful to hear, like, such an experience of oneness, you know? Just
Yes.
total, you know, just total connection. Like you said, it was almost like you melded with everyone in that room, everyone, like your souls became one. Or you just realized that there was no separation to begin with. You
Right.
know?
Yes, that's the exact thing. And I realized there was no separation to begin with. And then when you look back and you think, wow, I'm however old that I am now, like 30 years old. And for 30 years, I have never realized that this connection has been here, you know? And so after that experience, I tried to figure out what that was. So then I kept searching, I kept looking everywhere. And I looked into different religions. I looked into, you know, so I went back to Paramahansa Yogananda, and I started to learn more about the yogis and stuff like that, because, you know, when they meditate, they really become one with spirit, you know, and everything around them. And I started practicing meditation, and I was doing meditation for years, and pranayama, and then I felt it again, and then
Oh,
yes, and then I could feel that connection all over again.
wow. So
Yeah.
you felt the connection you felt with ayahuasca during your meditation.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I think it comes from whenever you whenever you just sort of really give yourself that time to be calm
Mhm.
and to listen to yourself and to just sit with yourself and to cut out all of like the outer world distractions and things like that, at some point all that you start really connecting to is that oneness.
Mhm.
And then so then you start experiencing that oneness more.
Mhm. Mhm. I love that message, Donica. Thank you so much for speaking on that, because there's a quote that I love. It's by a gentleman. His name was Blaise Pascal, and I believe he was like a prominent or famous like mathematician in history. But he had this quote, and it said, "All of humanity's problems stem from our inability to sit by ourselves in a room alone." And that's what he said, all of humanity's problems, that he felt everything stems from that, just our inability to just be by ourselves, and what you just said, to just rest in that stillness, in that
Yeah.
silence. Does that
It
resonate
is.
with you?
Yes, it does. And actually, it's really hard to sit in that silence. It
Mm-hmm.
really is one of the hardest things you can do almost. And it takes repetition, and it takes being gentle on yourself and realizing that we've been used to just doing,
Mm-hmm.
covering our emotions with things, covering them with food, covering them with drugs and alcohol, covering them with, information overload,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. So then to finally sit alone in a room where there's nothing but yourself can be so difficult, but it's one of the most important things, because that's when you can finally start to be aware of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can start to see your thoughts. Where are they coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I thinking this way?
Right.
Same with your emotions. You start sitting with your emotions, and you can little by little start clearing things away that are keeping your mind so like preoccupied, and eventually it kind of slows down. There's that stillness,
Yeah.
and then you just try to like hook onto the stillness. You latch onto the stillness a little bit more, and then that grows and grows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's
Yeah.
how it worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So like you said, it's that repetition, you know?
Yes, yes. Don't give
Oh,
up, because so many people will tell me, I can't meditate, I just can't sit still, da 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 da, all these reasons, and I think we just have to realize that just little by little, just keep giving it a chance, and you'll get there.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
Um,
that's one of the things that prevented me from moving forward so many times was the understanding that it's a practice. It's lifelong,
yes.
you know?
Yes.
It's not like I'm just gonna be a master at, meditation or something like, it's a progressive learning forever.
Yes. Right. Because I'm pretty sure the Dalai Lama still meditates. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. I would
And
think so.
yeah.
Mhm.
And there are always things that we can keep working on, and they keep coming up all of the time. Like, I feel like I've gone through periods of time where I'm just this like very connected, and so I'm just very peaceful and joyful and loving and want to be compassionate to everyone and everything. And then sometimes something will happen, and you realize you're still like being judgmental or things like that, and
Mhm.
and so then you have to continue to work on yourself.
Mhm.
Okay, why? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Mhm.
can I can definitely relate. For me, over the course of my life, working with those feelings of anger, the feelings of guilt, the feelings of shame, of blame, of all of those things, and just recognizing them when they come up and having that awareness about you. And something about you I definitely also resonate with is coming up through certain traumatic events of my own, and having to go talk to different people, like raised by a single mother, and then speaking to those therapists, those counselors, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, and like you said, being
Yeah.
prescribed different things. And then finally coming to the realization that, you know what if I just connect deeper with myself? You know, what would that change if I stop trying to externalize and I go internal? Yeah. So that was an interesting development for me as well. And you seem to have a theme around freedom as well, the freedom theme. And are you an air sign by chance?
I am. I'm a Libra.
You're a Libra, of course.
Yes.
Of
That's
course.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I
Balance.
am a Libra.
Balance.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Why? What is your sign?
Yeah. So I'm a Scorpio.
Awesome. Cool.
That's my
Yeah,
son. So
yeah.
hmm
Interesting. Now I'm like trying to put you in a box. Now I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but my air sign is Aquarius. That's my Aquarius moon. So my moon is in
Ah,
Aquarius, and
cool.
then my
Cool.
rising is the Leo. So I have the
Wow.
the fire, the air, and the water. But I definitely harmonize with other air signs when it comes to that
Yeah.
sense of freedom. I understand totally. Yeah.
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 So I'm actually a Pisces rising,
hmm
and I'm a Leo moon.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So fire,
cool.
air, water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Decide on that stuff, like I just started realizing too, um, and the things that make us very unique are beautiful. They're so, so beautiful because it takes all of us and all the things that we have, to make this whole world flow the way that it does.
Mhm.
And what I was gonna say is I just read something recently that was saying not to not focus on our differences so much, because when we focus on our differences it makes it easier for us to divide ourselves.
Mhm.
But when we focus on our similarities, it's what helps us to pull together. So
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm writing that down in my mind. I'm writing that down. That's
thank you. And
definitely.
it really resonated with me,
Mhm.
because I feel like it's true, like all these things we've been going through for the past, no, since for the longest time in our history, has
Mhm.
been we keep focusing on what separates us,
Mhm.
and I see now that our world is becoming more accepting and more united.
Mhm.
I know we still have a few things going on, but I think it's like the clearing of all of those old energies, and
Mhm.
I think it's because we're meant to like heal and come back, together, stronger,
Mhm.
more accepting and more loving.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So, Donica,
Yes.
what do you feel were some of the most prominent influences or the people that had the most impact on you when it came to pranic living, or when it came to you kind of making that shift of that belief or that mindset and breaking through those barriers that had been there for so long?
Right. Okay. So for me, like I said, Paramahansa Yogananda being one of the first people to ever bring up Inedia, which is, Breatharianism. And then just a couple years ago, I think I discovered Elatom Alamin,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's so cool. I love his energy. I like him for lots of different reasons, but also, he's not like a super, super skinny breatharian. Not
Mm-hmm.
that that should matter, but I think that's something that, like, because there's also Ray Mayor.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
Yeah, so Ray Mayor, but he now also, he's not completely breatharian. We also like eat and drink and stuff like that. And so he does. And for him, something that was important is what made him feel good to himself was that he really likes having, more of like muscles a little bit and looking a little bit more built.
Yeah.
And for his purposes, it works that he eats sometimes. But what he has learned from that is that we don't need to eat, that there is prana,
Mm-hmm.
and that we can choose to eat if we want and choose to be nourished in this way. and we also have more freedom and more freedom of choice with what we consume, but also then the discernment and the differentiation between how you feel without anything,
Yeah.
how you feel on just liquids, how you feel with for just fruits, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like he knows the different like levels, I guess, of himself now,
Mm-hmm.
having to do with the external nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
I'm
feel
sorry if
that's,
I'm not explaining myself the best.
yeah, you are definitely. You know, it makes
Okay.
perfect sense. And
Yeah.
I agree that it is most important to know yourself, you know,
Yes. Yes.
to understand yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay. So there was L-etomalamine. There is oh, also a huge person for me too is Akahi Salas.
Ah, is
So
that where you were reading that book, Becoming Breatharian?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I actually have it with me right now, so I can show you it.
Akai and Camilla. Yeah, yeah. They're
Yeah.
definitely a power couple. Yeah, Akai and
Yeah,
Camilla.
yes, they are. And one of the things I definitely want to bring up about them is that the life that they're living works for them. They're really happy. They have a family, and his what am I trying to say? Um, however, and he doesn't let any external like thoughts about them like bother them or anything like that. But one of the biggest things is because all of this is just barely starting to come out, they get so much criticism and disbelief from the media, you know, they get ridiculed and things like this. And I feel like when when the media is presenting us these stories, then we're not even giving it a real chance, you know. And I think that everyone should do their own research, look into this on their own, and look at it with an open mind and an open heart. And even though you're going to see stories that are maybe not showing Breatharianism in the most positive light, it can be a very positive and beautiful thing.
Mm,
And please try to ignore some of those stories so that you can also get to the beautiful stories inside of it,
mhm.
you know? Um, I believe wholeheartedly, I've never met these people, you know, but I believe wholeheartedly that this is real. Uh, I did do I did do some fasting. I've been trying to do fasting since last year, and then finally this year I gained more courage and I did 3.5 days of dry fasting, so no food, no water. Yeah,
What was that like for
and
you?
it was so I had just done 1 day before last year,
Mhm.
and I thought that was like a huge deal, you know. And the first
It
day
is for
I
most
did,
people, you know?
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. It's so the first time I did it, I was really um it was my mind that was getting in front of me instead of like reality. If
Mm,
because I was afraid, I was like, what if I die? You know, from 1 day of not eating,
mhm,
you know, and not drinking anything. And then I'm like, no, I don't think that this is like I'm not gonna die. And but it's your thoughts that start making you uncomfortable, and then your body starts telling you like experiences, like it starts giving you like hunger pains and things like
mhm,
this because you've got your own like doubts and things in your mind, you know, and so your
mhm,
body wants to affirm that to you by
mhm,
giving you these signs. And so really you just have to kind of like ignore that and push it away and say, you know what, I know that you're just messing with me, body, and we're fine, you know. And so this time around I had studied a lot more. I got my books, you know, and I listened to more talks and things, and I felt really confident. And also after meditating and having those experiences of oneness and everything, you realize you are okay. You
yeah.
are. Yeah. And so so this time around the first day was like a breeze because I was like, I've already done this, so there's no fear involved, nothing.
Mhm,
And then day two, I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna feel some uncomfortableness and maybe lack of energy, but I was doing some breath work exercises,
yeah.
and that's a yeah. I was doing some breath exercises from the Akahi Solace book,
Mhm,
And so during the day, in the morning, you do these beautiful exercises where you release all like the negativity from your mind, and you bring in like love and light and patience and all these beautiful things. And then you do that for your body, your emotional body, and your pranic or your electric body. So when you do these, you're really clearing out any heaviness that you have in you, you know, and you're letting all of that go. And you're just bringing in all of this beautiful, like, love and energy into your body. And you actually get filled up by that.
Yeah.
You know, you do. And you realize you don't need food for that. And that's the first time I started realizing that. I'm like, you know, I don't feel hungry. I don't need to eat right now.
Yeah.
I feel light and happy, you know?
Was
Yeah.
it surprising at first?
Yes, it was, because at first it was just like, let's see if this is true. They were just like concepts, you know, until I apply them. And so as I started applying it, I was like, wow, this is really true. And then when I started feeling like maybe a little bit of hunger or something like that, so I have kids too, just so you know, I have kids. And I told them, like, let's go to the beach, you know, because I knew that grounding is really energizing. I know that being in nature and having like the air and, you know, there's more like electrons flowing around in nature. And so our bodies love that. And so we went to the beach and we were there for hours, and I didn't feel hungry anymore. I really didn't. I felt fine, and I had energy, and it was calm. And that's when I was realizing even more, you know, on a deeper level. It's like, wow, you know, we really can be nourished in these other ways. So then we came home, and I was starting to feel kind of like a little bit, you know. And so I did the rest of his breathing exercises, which are super cool. And these are just mostly really bringing in like pranic frequencies into your body. And I could feel all this energy in my body that I didn't know was there, because I've never practiced these things, you know, I never practiced that before. And it felt like I was so powerful. It felt like I had like all this electricity in my body, and I was playing with my chi between my hands. Yeah, and it was such a like big ball of chi. And I had my daughter come and put her hands between my hands, and she could feel it. Yes. She was like, wow, it's tingling my hands.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was really cool just realizing all this stuff, you know. And so third day, I knew I was going to be fine. I was like, well, I already made it 2 days. I know that I could, So we did day 3, same thing. I just practiced the exercises and stuff. I knew it was going to be fine. And Akahi recommends, you know, don't do more than 3 days. He said, don't do more than 3 days. But I also know that we listen to our body, you know, and if you listen to your body, it tells you, you know, are you okay? Or are you not okay? So I was, checking in with myself, and I was fine. I was really fine. And the only reason that I decided to like start drinking water again is like, I had posted on my Facebook, you know, that I had like done this dry fasting, and people were getting really worried, and they're like, because no one was seeing me in real life, you know, they couldn't feel my energy. They couldn't see that I was still walking around and doing everything, you know. And so people were like, oh my God, your brain's going to eat itself, you know, and these are legitimate concerns. I understand, you know. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to drink some water, you know, for everyone, for me too. But I didn't feel like I needed it still.
Yeah. That is so interesting. That is so interesting. There's so much to unpack right there, Donica. You know, thank you for walking us down that experience, walking us down memory lane with you, and even you and your daughter playing with energy, allowing her to feel the chi between your hands, and just like feeling the power of that prana, and then understanding the level of energy that you started to feel, the difference between your emotional body, your physical body, your mental body, and then what you talked about, your pranic body or your electric body. your
Yes.
etheric body. So shout out also, we have some friends in here, some folks in here. We have Luisa from Sao Paulo, Brazil. She was in here tuning in. She said
Hi.
beautiful conversation. Much
Thank
thanks.
you.
Clearing with prana is great. Yeah, so she's one of the the folks that have been out here, putting these messages out, and then also practicing herself, it just continually. Yeah, yeah. So, oh my
Thank
goodness.
you. It is such a real thing, our pranic bodies. And it's hard for people who aren't really doing a lot of spiritual practices to understand, because it's not something that you can just see, They say some children can see our auras and things like that, and they're still kind of more tapped into like the spiritual realm and things like that. But for the most part, when we're just kind of more grounded in this 3D world and looking out into like, we're always just looking out and our sensory attention is always out. It is really hard for us to understand our that we are these spiritual bodies, that we're these spiritual beings, and
Mhm.
that we have all of this energy within us, And so one of the other things I've experienced through meditation is I've also experienced sort of a sense of like telepathy, kind of. You really
In what way?
because you really start to realize your oneness more with everyone. So what
Hmm.
happens is that your thoughts with others become very seamless.
Mm.
So I haven't been meditating as intensely as I was doing like the previous 2 years,
Mhm.
because a lot of this was happening to me and I wasn't ready for it yet. I
You
really
mean just
wasn't.
around other people?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So even like when I would go to have a conversation with someone, they would already be talking about the stuff that I was trying to talk about, or the things that I wanted to say, they would just start saying it instead.
Mhm.
So there was definitely this like um we were just so connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We were just so connected. So I think when you do a lot of these practices, or when you clear your body of so much stuff, you are lighter, and because you're lighter, you can receive these like energies and connections easier,
You're
you
more
know
receptive.
yes, yes, right.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I stopped meditating and doing as much as that because I wasn't ready for all of it yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
totally, totally. Hmm. Yeah,
Right.
there's so much heightened sensitivity, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it's really true too that you can like feel someone from like across the world or something like that if you're connected to them. And so I have a friend, she lives in New Jersey, and it's true that as soon as you think of them, they'll text you or they'll call you or
Hmm.
something like that,
Hmm.
because really that is that oneness,
Yeah.
that we share with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and there's no space. There really is no space or time between us. It's all in our mind. It's something accepted by us, but really we are one and connected.
Wow. Wow. What a way to recognize that and realize that, and to see evidence of that throughout your life, throughout the people that you associate and interact with, to see that you are connected on that level. And also, Donica, something you said earlier that I love that you did with your children. And how many kids do you have?
I have three.
Three kids. Okay, you have three
Three,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah. And wait, boys, girls?
I have two boys and one girl.
Two boys, one girl. Awesome.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
that was so cool that y'all went, and that intuitively you realized that it would be more nourishing to be out in nature around all those
Yes.
the negative ions, and receiving that. And yeah, yeah, to thrive in that kind of environment, it makes it a lot easier.
It is so peaceful, it
Yeah.
is. It is so peaceful. And when you're at peace, I feel like that's part of like our wholeness and our wellness, is to when we're finally just like, it's like the breath, you know, when you take a deep breath and then you let it out and you just feel that peacefulness for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that being in nature too, somehow. It's like without doing your meditation or anything, you just feel that beautiful peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's blissful. You know, it can definitely be.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is blissful. And so okay. So one of the things too that Ray Mayor was saying is that we actually can get filled up with conversation. You can get filled up with the things that you enjoy. So let's say you enjoy painting or having deep conversations with people, that whenever you are really focusing your attention on these things that you love, you actually lose track of time, and
Yeah.
you don't feel hungry or
Yeah.
anything because you're so immersed in what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like so many greats throughout history, you know, it's so ironic. It's so cool because Louisa, she's a painter as well, you know, and she
Yeah.
actually did a painting class during our last pranic initiation. We had a pranic with the family that we did online on Telegram, and she did a painting class with everyone, and it was really awesome, you know, to see people's different arts and different illustrations, and you know, you can get really creative with that. And I feel like the greats throughout history were able to tap into that, you know, the Leonardo da Vinci's, the Michelangelos, the, you know, like all the great artists and painters and creators, or just people who were ever to do great things in the eyes of other people. They tapped into whatever that is, that source, or that energy that was giving them life, that was feeding them, you know, that was nourishing
Yes.
their cells without needing sustenance. They were being nourished without needing something in a dense form. They received it in a more subtle, you know, subtle form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw a part of that live that you did, and it was I don't think I got to like see the whole thing, but I love all of the people that you bring on to your lives. They all have such beautiful souls and hearts, and I love all of their smiles. You know, you can just feel that they're filling up their space with such beautiful, you know, messages and whatever information. And you can see it outwardly.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Likewise, likewise, you know, same to you, Donica. You know, we can see it, we can feel it, we can hear it from you, your vibrational, your frequency, the energy that you're putting out, even from your voice and from your smile that's just so effortless, you know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I mean, did you want to talk more? I didn't know if you wanted to talk more about like stay focused on the pranic
Well,
conversation.
I enjoy how there was also something I felt like was intuitive for you during your 3.5 day dry
Yes.
when you were air feasting, or you had those prana days, as we like to call them, freedom days.
Yes.
When you didn't feel your best, you went back to the breath.
Yes. That's true. Yes, I did. Yes,
Mhm.
it's true. And you realize that really that is enough. It can carry you. It really does carry you, you know? I think it's the same as I was learning that our emotions, when we have like really heavy emotions, you know, we we can't breathe as easily because
Mhm.
we have filled our heart chakra with these heavy, sad emotions. And since our lungs sit right here on our heart chakra,
Mhm.
when our heart chakra is feeling sad, we can't breathe as easily. So when we cry, we're like, you know, like because it's hard for us to really fill up our lungs because our heart is feeling heavy.
Mhm.
And when your heart's feeling happy and light, you can take, you know, your really deep, beautiful breaths, and you
Mhm.
can like hold it all there because you've made room for that, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so when you can let go of those negative emotions, you can start breathing your prana easier into your being, into yourself. You
Mhm.
get that energy flowing better. It heals your whole body, really,
Mhm.
physically and everything, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Wow.
yeah.
That correlation, that connection that you just made there. So we can breathe in more physically when we make room emotionally.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had never, really thought of that before.
Right.
And then when we're little kids too, we're crying or we're worried or something, or I guess even as adults when we're nervous, like what do they tell you? They tell you, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
take a
Mm-hmm.
deep breath
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then let it go. And um so I guess when you study the breath more, it's more the things start to connect and make more sense. But otherwise, for a lot of people, breathing is just like this automatic thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't pay any attention to it. And but when you pay attention to it and you learn more about it, you can use it consciously.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes this like super cool tool that you literally have with you all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even believe that there's a quote, Donica, and I feel like it's by Thich Nhat Hanh. You ever heard of Thich Nhat Hanh?
Yeah.
And he said, everyone is breathing, but not everyone is aware that they are breathing.
Yeah, it is
And
true.
I was like,
I
ah,
Yeah,
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 go ahead.
yeah, yes, yes. So I was just gonna say I really love that man so much. Really, such a beautiful soul. I think he recently passed,
Oh, wow.
actually, which I know I was sad, but at the same time, happy thinking, what he left such a beautiful message for
What a
people,
legacy.
such beautiful, yeah. And maybe he realized, maybe he could feel that our evolution was happening, and maybe he felt like, okay, it's
Mhm.
it's a new time or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, is that what you felt lately? Like, do you feel that even in your meditations or in just your own contemplations or your own time for relaxation? Do you tap into something where you feel like we are shifting our vibration,
Ye-
like the collectively?
yes, I think so. I really think so. And I think we're learning more about our minds, how our minds work, how our energy works. I think we're starting to learn that you know energy goes where our attention goes. So
Hmm.
to more purposely
Hmm.
focus on the things we want, as far as even for our world,
Hmm.
to be more loving, to be more peaceful, to be really be present with each other.
Hmm.
And we're really starting to understand how important these things are, because in the past, through our unconsciousness, not realizing these things, it's how we've gotten to where we've gotten with so many wars, and like there's so much poverty, and even like famish and stuff like that in different countries. And it's due to our unconsciousness
Hmm.
and not really tapping into our hearts and really focusing on separation, you know, because we've allowed things to be okay for other people to go through that we would never allow our families to go through, just because we've had that feeling of separation. Oh, that's them, this is us. Don't worry, I would never do this to you, but whatever's happening over there is okay, you know. But I think we're no longer doing this anymore. I think we're really realizing how connected we are, and realizing that what I do to you affects me actually, and what you do to me is gonna, because we're that connected. We really
Yeah,
are that connected.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um. So I think we are evolving. I think we are coming to a really beautiful place where we're becoming more conscious, and because of that, we can choose to make this world um, that perfect, loving, beautiful place that we've all really wanted it to be for such a long time.
wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
So you have good feelings for the future.
yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah, yeah,
How about you?
yeah. Because this is definitely, Donica, not the knowledge that they taught us in college. This is
Right.
not like the things that they teach us in school. We don't have this kind of conscious curriculum, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Yes, yes, it is
So
true.
when it comes to raising your children, the your daughter and the boys, like what do you feel like you're instilling within them that you didn't get when you were coming up?
For me personally, I'm really trying to figure out myself. But whatever I learn, I try to pass on to them
Hmm.
because I grew up in a place where okay, we used to watch soap operas all of the time. Like in
What,
Mexico, this is
like Days of Our Lives or something?
yeah, like you know, and this is like, and my grandmother would be watching Days of Our Lives, you know,
Hmm.
here in my grandmother that lived here in America,
Yes.
and but in Mexico we watch all like the Mexican telenovelas, and
Okay.
all that you're watching is so much drama and all of this stuff happening, and you learn this is entertainment, you know, and so I think now I teach my kids, I'm like, no, we're not gonna really watch that because I don't know why watching people's problems and you know all this chaos should be our entertainment. You know, I was like, wait, to create a beautiful, peaceful space, you need to also put those things inside of yourself. You know, with what you watch and what you
Hmm.
do,
Hmm.
and it's a learning process. You know, like we're slowly like learning to detox and detach from a lot of the things that we've learned. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like recently I've been questioning, you know, why are we watching so much violence in the media, you know,
Right.
or like why are we watching so much violence like in the movies? And it's because the more that we give it our attention, they're going to keep creating that kind of content. They're going to see that there's a want and need for it,
Yeah.
you know? But when we realize that when we glamorize that, we're just making it more okay for the rest of the world to continue to do this.
Mm.
And I don't see what good can come from that. What kind of a message are we actually sharing with each other?
Hmm.
You know? Um, so I guess with my children, I try to talk to them in the way that I talk to you about things.
Hmm.
And I try to explain to them, you know, we are human. I mean, we're human, but we're spirits and we have a spiritual being. And I try to teach them meditation and talk to them about meditation
Hmm.
and the breath. I've been trying to teach them about the breath. So I
Hmm.
think it's already different because we're not learning about the breath in school. We didn't learn about the breath
I sure
in
didn't.
school.
I sure didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would have loved to. I'm glad that I'm learning all of these things now. Like they say, it's never too late to start. It's never
yes.
too late. So
Yes.
I'm enjoying this process now and this journey and this path that we're on. And it would have been cool, to see classes like that, to have areas of study that allowed us to tap in and tune in more to ourselves. I love, Donica, that you're so cognizant of that kind of conditioning, you know? And it's like they say with all the etymology that the truth can often be hidden in plain sight, you know? The remote control, who's in control of the remote, that we are a channel. We're channeled, and these things are channeled into us when we're tuning into different channels, like what they say, what you tune into, you turn into, you
Yes.
know? That
Mm-hmm.
whatever entertains you trains you, you know and then we have the programming, different programs, and then the broadcasting, so it's like spells and broadcasting and all these things. It's like it just makes total sense that we end up having these patterns, and it feels
Yes.
like our world is drama filled because we've absorbed and we've taken in so much drama. Yeah.
And yeah, and we make it so normal that this is what we kind of, even when it's happening around us, we don't even bat an eye sometimes,
Right.
you know? Yeah. And so I guess that's another reason meditation and stuff is so important too, because you're withdrawing your attention from
Mm-hmm.
these things and you're able to, you know, witness them from like a different perspective and
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself those questions like, why am I why am I watching this? Like what really is it adding to myself, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then the more you listen to yourself and you like being in that state of peace, you realize, why am I attracted to all this chaos? I don't want all this chaos.
Yeah.
I like this feeling of peace and bliss, you know? And but it takes time. It's going to take time.
Mhm.
I definitely feel that we're in a change though, you know, and the more we talk about these things, and yes, and thank you too, you know, and the more that we make this information more like comfortable and accessible to everyone,
Mhm.
then slowly we're going to start balancing out, and it's gonna, what am I trying to say? You know, these things like the war in Ukraine and Russia and stuff like that. I'm sorry for bringing this up.
You good. Mhm.
um, yeah, I don't think that there will be a need for war anymore. You know what I mean? Because we've all maybe worked on ourselves enough to where we've realized that it's better for us to work together, to be understanding of each other, to it's literally less work really for us to just get along, and we might think that it's more work, but when our mind is no longer worried and focused on fear and or on survival, we're
Mhm.
then able to come from like creative mode, you
Mhm.
know, and work together for all these really cool creative solutions,
Mhm.
and we can just bring more like healing and our energy is just in the wrong direction right now. It just needs to start turning into building and creating the new, and presence with each other, also building our relationships with each other.
Mhm.
And this means globally too,
Yeah.
cross country with each other,
Yeah.
you know, not country, cross, I'm gonna try the continents, you know,
Mhm.
like, yeah,
Yeah. I agree. I
yes,
agree.
it is
Yeah.
possible.
It is. It
Yes,
definitely is. It's
yes,
absolutely possible. And it's happening. You know, like you said earlier, Donica, it's like where our focus goes, energy grows, you know?
yes.
Those are the things that start to expand. So having more conscious conversations like this. And thank you so much for sharing your presence. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your message and allowing us to see that, you know, mindfulness is becoming more mainstream, you know? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Hi to everybody who joined, I guess, you know, to listen. And I didn't know if you wanted to keep the conversation going or if you had to go anywhere, because I know we've sort of been talking for a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I knew at the
Yeah.
hour mark that I just wanted to honor and respect your time because, you know, we had you for an hour on here. But is was there anything else that immediately that you wanted to say or wanted to talk about since, you know, this is your first live here on this platform? Yeah.
I know. Well, just thank you for everyone listening, and I really appreciate your presence and just you listening to our thoughts, you know, because unless we share them, really they're just going around in our own headspace,
Mhm.
you know. But when you hear them shared with others, it's really nice to hear and see how they resonate with other people, or and then you can give me your feedback, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
on my thoughts and what we're doing.
You just reminded
Uh
me too.
yeah.
You just reminded me, Donica, when you said in our headspace.
Yes.
2017 was when I started meditating for the first time.
Wow, yes.
And do you know what got me into meditation?
No.
An app called Headspace.
Oh, okay.
It
Yes.
was
Yes.
an app on the phone, you know?
Yes.
And it was so ironic how even technology was able to get me back in touch, you know?
Yes, it's because it's a tool. So technology is a tool. We can use it for positive, we can use it for negative. Like anything, you know, like a stone, you can use a stone for something positive. You
Right,
could use it for something negative, you
right.
know. Um, so technology can bring us, I mean, look, it's allowing us to have this conversation. It's connecting the world.
Mhm.
That's something really cool I saw recently too, was
Yeah.
that actually the first like borderless country essentially in the world is the internet,
Mm.
because really there are no borders. We can all connect to each other. Nothing is separating you from me right now,
Right,
you know.
right.
Yeah. And I So I had sent you something also. I think that's how we first connected is I sent you something about the Free World Charter,
Yeah,
right? I don't know if
yeah.
you looked at that or not.
Hmm.
But it's essentially this person's goal is talking about a world where we can all share resources globally and be more united in this world and almost be like border free in a way. We're not there yet, you know. There's time before that happens, but I believe that's where we're heading to. I believe that we are heading to a borderless world pretty much. And just like we've done in the internet space, you know, and I believe just as we really are spiritually, we are borderless. We are all one and connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we will physically get there too, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love
Yeah.
this. I love this. You know, borderless, borderless. The creating that kind of connection. What did Louisa just say down here?
I remembered my first dry fast, 3.5 days, and it was tough. Yes, it was very tough, but I survived. Go, girl. Yeah, it's not easy. Yes.
Yeah.
So you've done
You
dry
got,
fasting.
yeah, in the past, and when you've probably seen videos as well with Ellie Tom back when I was doing it with his group, and that was my very first ever pranic retreat with them back in 2020. So,
Wow.
so 2017 was when I started meditating, and just like you, where one thing starts to lead to another, you know, I started to feel lighter. Other people started to see differences in me. You know, my friends and family started to point things out in me that they noticed that I wasn't even noticing, that they were just realizing that I was just kind of, something's different about you. You know, you're not acting like you used to. And even with the levels of consumption and starting to lighten up with the diet. You know, once somebody funnily told me that diet is like an acronym for do I eat that? You know, or did I eat that? You know, so when it came to animal products, for years and years, I had been with animal products, and I love that you have a post on your page, Donica. It says "friends, not food." So what was that realization for you? And was there a point in your life where you were consuming a lot of those and then you changed somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, well, growing up in Mexico again, you
Mm-hmm.
know, there's a lot of tacos, burritos, you know,
Mm-hmm.
barbacoa. There's so many meat products and things that you can consume down there, and like animal products. And um, so when you're little and this is what you're given to eat, you don't always question it. You know, you're just kind of going with it. I personally hadn't made the connection that this taco that I'm eating is that animal that I love over
Right.
there, you know? Yes. And then no one was making that connection for me either in the way that so my kids are vegan, my three kids,
Mm-hmm.
and we've gotten there together through talking about it, honestly, through my efforts of trying to teach them compassion, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that these animals have a life and that they're their own little being that wants to live and it doesn't want to feel fear and just like we don't want to feel fear or pain. So
Mm-hmm.
I've really tried to teach them that. A lot of people don't agree with me on this still, you know, this is still like a new wave that's happening on our planet, right? It's just like veganism and just like breatharianism. It's like probably the next wave.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Right
so
around the corner. Yeah.
right. So I suppose I first before I did ayahuasca, that was the first time I started to eat less meat
Mm-hmm.
because I was supposed to do like a dieta, you know, before you consume.
What's a
Oh,
dieta?
so a dieta is like a diet, like certain foods that you're supposed to eat before you fast. You know, like less
Okay.
salt, less sugar, less no soda, caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time I started eliminating things from my diet. You know, and I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna be challenging. You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to
What
do
what
it.
was the most, if I may ask, what was the most challenging thing for you to eliminate? You know, for some people it's animal flesh. For some people it's cheese and dairy. For some people it's other things. Like what was the most difficult or challenging for you?
I think for me, it was probably trying to eliminate the extra stuff like the sugars and the salts,
Sugars and
like
salt. Okay.
yeah, for the in the food. So for me, that was the hardest is eating a little bit of just seasonings that we add to things to make the
Hmm.
food extra,
Yeah. It's
That
on
was like
everything. Yeah.
yes,
It's on everything.
yeah. And what was
Yeah.
I gonna say?
So
I'm
the
sorry.
dieta. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yes, right. Okay, so then I did that, and that was the first time I started eliminating things. And I mean, I had several opportunities in my life where I could have gone vegan or learned more about it, but it really goes kind of in stages for people, I think. And like the first time I heard of a vegan person was in sixth grade camp, but all the kids were making fun of that vegan person because they were different.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that person. They don't eat meat. Huh? That's weird. So that was my first introduction to the idea of someone being vegan or different. And so I was like, hmm. And then like later on in college, I had a friend who was vegan and she tried taking me to like this like little vegan group where they talked about what was happening to the animals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I still didn't fully like understand. And I think it was because of all of my like conditioning growing up and everything.
Hmm.
And so I was like, okay. And and then a few years later, I had a friend who was vegan, and she was just like such a cool hippie mama, and like openly breastfeeding her baby and stuff like this. And I hadn't been exposed to too much of that.
Hmm.
And I just felt like it was so beautiful, and I was thinking about it more. Okay, this person's also vegan, and these are my ideas. They were like, she wasn't like super intense vegan where she's like, stop eating meat. Like, she wasn't like an angry vegan. She was
Hmm.
very accepting. And I thought that was cool. Uh, and then the next thing is I started like learning more about Buddhism and Hinduism and stuff like that. And the reasons that they don't really eat meat. And so I started thinking about it more too. And like, oh, do animals really have like this spirit? Are we so, similar to animals? And I feel weird that I never really had thought these things through before. Like I had so many years.
Same.
Yeah.
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
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 And I guess I went through periods of sort of selfishness too, or something. I don't know if selfishness, but where I was like, well, you only live once, so I better enjoy my life. Like, whatever, we all die, we're all gonna die, so what does it matter? And I was thinking like that for a while too. And then I started to feel more connection to people and everyone. And I started realizing like, wow, when you hurt, this is not a good thing, because it just ripples out. Like what we do to another person just continues to ripple out.
Right.
And I started seeing how that's not a good thing. And then I started like realizing, wow, all the pain that I went through, why would I ever want to put that on an animal? Also, like, how does that make us more powerful to hurt something that is not able to defend itself or speak up for itself? And I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I wouldn't do it anymore. So, and we've been vegan, I think, it's almost been like 5 years, like going on 5 years, something
Wow.
like that.
Wow.
Yes.
That's powerful.
So yes.
You're changing
Um,
your whole family history, you know?
yes, I know, and it's not easy.
Mhm.
It's not easy but it takes it takes that. It takes uncovering all of this uneasiness, all of people asking you all these questions. Why are you doing this? Is this the best decision for your kids? Are you sure they're not going to have protein? And what about iron and all these things? And you have to like endure all of these things because you feel in your heart that it's the right way. If I want to live in a kinder world, then I need to be more kind myself, create more kindness you know So, and if the world's not there yet, you're going to receive so much pushback still. And you just have to keep listening to your truth, and you kind of have to understand it, like why they have these feelings and thoughts, but then you just kind of have to ignore it and keep going because you ultimately know where you're going, what your destination is, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. That is so powerful. That is so powerful, Donica. Like, you gave me so many vibes in my own journey, so many memories of having those questions brought down on me, having that criticism brought down on me, and having that conflict brought down on me of just following my truth. Like you said, coming back to the heart, following your heart, or following that voice inside you that says, this is something that I feel strongly towards. Like, I want to head down this way. Let's see where this path may lead. And they talk about how truth goes through three stages. you know they say, first, it is ridiculed. People laugh at it, like, oh, come on now. And then it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as self-evident. you know like, of course.
Yeah.
And so it's like all truth kind of goes through those phases where people reject it. They try to put it down, and then there's no keeping it down anymore. It just kind of starts to become accepted. And they only say that only 10% of the cohort of the population, it only takes 10% of the cohort to make a change, that the rest of the cohort has to accommodate for that change. They have to
Very
adjust.
cool.
Only 10%. That's all it takes. So these are like the beginnings. Eli Tom would tell us, you are the first fruits. He would call us that. You're the first fruits. These are just the beginnings of things going on. You hear people like Jazz Muheen, the godmother of Breatharianism, people would call her. She was talking about this back in like the 80s, and you see interviews in the 70s of people like just talking about it, and they were just, like, way more today, way more than they were today. They were just, chastised and ridiculed and all sorts of stuff. So I feel like they were even braver to do that in a time period back then where people really thought they had lost it. Like, you're
Yeah.
crazy. You're crazy. So the fact that
Yeah.
you're coming out and you're allowing these stories to be told and to be shared, and this new way of thinking, you're causing that ripple effect. Like you say, it's rippling out into the cosmos. It's just like a pond in a river, or
Yeah.
a pebble in the pond. You
Yeah.
don't know where those ripples stop. You don't know where the end is. So I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
Mhm.
I have a question for you. So, um, where are you on
And
like
this will
your
be
planning stage?
sorry,
Yeah.
we'll have to conclude after this one, just
Oh,
because. Yeah, I'll have to go, unfortunately, but
no.
this has been a pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, I was just wondering where you are now in your pranic journey.
Yeah, it's a development. It's still a learning each day. I feel like we're the same in a lot of different ways. We're still understanding ourselves and understanding our bodies through the process. And to realize for me, because this was a hard pill for me to swallow, was that it was progress and not perfection. So
Yes.
the thought that I had to be perfect, or that it has to be like, thinking that my chapter 1 was going to look like somebody's chapter 10 or chapter 20, that comparison game put me off for so long. But when I let go of that and I accepted and I just followed my heart, and like you said, after your 3-day dry fast, when you started putting out on social media and you saw the flack that you received from family and friends, then you were like, okay, let me just, okay, let me do this to appease others. But you felt
Right.
your own frequency. You felt the way
Yes.
that you felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to me as well. And I had to go through those dips, that roller
Yeah.
coaster ride, to understand,
Yeah.
that I'm still headed in this direction, but to appreciate those moments, to appreciate the contrast. So I still go through those ups and downs as well. Yeah.
I think that's normal. So actually, my sister gave me this unalome.
Yeah.
Yes, and so that just means the path is never straight, right? We all, yes, our
Right.
journey
Right.
is always going back and forth because we keep learning new things, you know, even when we go back to something that we've maybe experienced before, but we
Mhm.
see it in a different way.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mhm.
so I think we're both just, you know, still learning about ourselves. We're all learning about ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, everybody else out there is learning about themselves, you know.
Mhm.
And thank you for talking to me and
Of course. Of course.
yes.
And just
Thank
like you
you.
said earlier as well, Donica,
Yes.
sometimes it takes a certain being to be able to bridge that gap. For you to see somebody and relate to them on that level. Like you said, the lady, you know, she said it was just a hippie lady. She's openly breastfeeding, you know, she's just like, you just, there was something about her that you idolized or you admired or you just enjoyed in such a way that it allowed her to transmit that energy. And for you to see for yourself, are these things that I believe true, you know? for,
Yeah.
for me, it was that documentary Earthlings. And
Yes.
somebody, I forget who it was. Have you seen that one?
I think I've seen part of it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch all of it. It's some of these things are really hard for me to watch,
It's
you
tough.
know?
It's tough to
Yes.
do.
Yes.
That was the
And
one. Yeah.
yeah.
That was the one that did it for me when I had a
Yeah.
friend recommend that documentary.
Yeah.
And I watched it. And I recommend, you know, if anybody hasn't watched it and they're even thinking about a journey like this or even lightening up the diet,
Yeah.
to at least watch it just once, you know. And after that, I feel like that's an actual choice because I didn't even know that, you know, we hear about racism. I didn't know about speciesism, you know, that having these same things addressed with another species, you know, to think that I was above. They talked about the 5 ways that we use animals for pets, for clothing, for food, for entertainment, and for scientific study, you know, for laboratory experiments. Five
Yeah.
ways, 5 ways
Yeah.
that we use animals. And when I
Yeah.
thought about that, and the message was if an animal had the choice, would they choose a life of captivity? You know,
Right.
if they were given the choice, do you feel like they would choose that? And I had to answer that question for myself. So, so this is a message, you know, this is a powerful message today. And I thank you for speaking it, you know.
Thank you. I'm holding my phone. I can't properly.
You're good. You're good. She did the one. She did the Dalai Lama. The one.
Yeah. But I tried. Yeah, in my heart it was both hands.
Yes, yes. So will we be getting more lives with you, you know, in the coming days, maybe? You know, because I see
Sure.
that you utilize your story, you're putting these positive messages on your platform in different ways. And I'm still
Thank
honored
you.
once again to be the first live. But do you feel like you might kind of talk to the people a little bit more?
Yeah, I would love to do more lives. I just hadn't done any before. I don't know. I always take that, like you said, that one person, you know? So I guess you were that one person for me.
Wow.
Whenever, if you'd ever like to do another one, of course. I feel like we touched on so many things, you know. And also, if anybody else would love to join and have a conversation too, I'm open, you know, and we can do that as well.
Awesome. That's cool that you extend yourself, you know. And for anybody who has questions about you, your journey, or even if they would like to get started and they're trying to figure out maybe if they're looking for resources in different ways, how would you like for them to reach out to you?
They can. I think that you can message people here privately. You can, or
Mhm.
you can even just comment, you know, on the video. And if not, I'm on Facebook. I'm Donica MacArthur. So that's who I am on Facebook, Donica MacArthur. I'm open to answer any questions and to talk about whatever it is you need to talk about. You know, I we're on our spiritual journey. We all have missing keys to not missing keys, but we all have pieces of the puzzle, you know. And it's when we come together and we share those pieces of puzzle that we can start forming uh, a more clear understanding of our lives and each other, you know. So we do need to talk to each other more.
Absolutely. All
Yes.
right. All right. Well,
Thank you guys. Have a beautiful day.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Well, take
Thank
care.
you. You too. Take care. Thank you. I don't know how to hang up, you guys. My first
Oh,
one.
all you do is
Yeah.
There's an X in the top right corner, I think. You
Yeah.
tap that and then you just put it up. Yeah, and so
Okay.
we'll be able to see it on the replay as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Jerome. Bye.
Bye bye.